It's been described as the worst hack of a major social media platform yet. A sophisticated attack hijacking the profiles of hundreds of high-profile Twitter users. The targeted accounts sent out tweets asking followers to send money to a Bitcoin address. Among the victims, some of the world's richest business moguls and influential politicians, Barack Obama, Elon Musk, and Joe Biden. The company subsequently prevented many Twitter users with blue-check verified accounts from tweeting altogether, and in a striking admission, acknowledged the culprits may have gained unusually widespread access to internal Twitter controls.
What we know so far is that this has taken place at a vessel factory, we're told. 7 ships have been burnt so far. That's the latest that we have. And we've also been told that the fire is under control. It's not extinguished. Firefighters are on the scene. And the head of the crisis management in the Bushehr province has said that there's been no casualties, but they don't know the cause or the extent of the damage so far. He said that high winds and flammable materials haven't helped the situation. And the reason that this incident has gained attention is because there is also a nuclear power plant in Bushehr. And again, there's been a series of incidents over the last few weeks that have increased suspicions. We had a fire here in Tehran at a clinic where there were casualties. We've had an explosion at Parchin, which is to the east of Tehran, at a suspected missile site. And of course, at the main nuclear facility in Natanz, there was a fire there.
Protesters clashed with police in Moscow as they demonstrated against constitutional reforms that could see President Vladimir Putin in power until 2036. Police detained more than 100 people, according to human rights monitor OVD Info, including journalists and a high-profile Moscow deputy who headed the campaign against Putin's controversial changes. The 500-strong crowd called for Putin to resign and signed a petition against the reform. They believe the overwhelming vote in favor of the constitutional overhaul was rigged. And a rally was held in St. Petersburg, where the queue to sign the petition there was reportedly a kilometer long.
Well-wishers welcomed home Faraj El-Darat. He's one of 8 prisoners from Misrata, released by warlord Khalifa Haftar's forces in eastern Libya. The men, loyal to the internationally recognized Government of National Accord, or GNA, in Tripoli were exchanged for 8 of Haftar's prisoners. The swap happened near El Shuwairif and Izdada, south of the front lines, with the help of tribal leaders. El-Darat was taken prisoner in southern Tripoli last December during Haftar's failed campaign to capture the capital. He was then transported to a jail in Benghazi in eastern Libya. After nearly 7 months in captivity, he's among his family and friends again, back home in Misrata.
Completed in 1912, the Rhodes Memorial is situated on the slopes of Table Mountain's Devil's Peak. Rhodes has been the target of much recent criticism, with some historians attacking him as a ruthless imperialist and white supremacist, and activists demanding that his memorials be removed. This is not the first time that this statue of Cecil John Rhodes has been vandalized. During the 2015 Fees Must Fall protests, students at the UCT campus insisted that his statue there be removed. In the same year, the statue was defaced by cutting the nose. The latest act of vandalism was discovered over the weekend by park rangers.
Ethiopia has begun filling the reservoirs of a controversial mega dam on the Blue Nile. That's according to the country's water minister. Egypt and Sudan had requested the Grand Renaissance Dam not be filled until an agreement is reached. There's been nearly a decade of contentious negotiation over concerns it could drastically reduce water supplies to downstream countries. Ethiopia has said the dam is crucial for its growth and will begin filling it during this month's rainy season.
It's taken 10 years to build and cost close to $5 billion. Ethiopia's flagship infrastructure project is a great source of national pride. But the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Blue Nile has caused tension with downstream countries Sudan and Egypt from the start.
We have filed a federal wrongful death civil rights lawsuit on behalf of George Floyd's family and all of his children. They obviously saw the video. They have not heard all of the audio. And if this was your loved one, how would it make you feel? A person who you grew up with as a little boy, who was your role model, your protector, to see him being tortured. I mean, let's talk about what this was. This was torture.
Paying tribute to the fallen victims, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan offers a simple but moving gesture for those who died defending their homeland against its bloodiest ever coup attempt 4 years ago. At a memorial erected in the presidential complex in the capital Ankara, he was accompanied by the victims' family members. On July the 15th, 2016, a rogue group within the Turkish army tried to topple the government. It was later revealed that the Fethullah terrorist organisation known as FETÖ was behind the coup attempt. It launched a series of attacks in several major cities, killing hundreds of unarmed civilians. But for many, perhaps the most abiding memory of that night is what took place on the Bosphorus Bridge. Thousands of people took to the bridge behind me that fateful night. They were carrying nothing but flags, and yet when they confronted the soldiers, they were shot dead.
There's always been 12 zodiac signs, but is the snake-bearing Ophiuchus the 13th? Astronomers have long been aware of the constellation.
This isn't a new thing, but it appears that astrologers don't like to admit the existence of it, so that they skip the constellation that lies between Scorpius and Sagittarius.
If the new sign is taken into account, it'd change the zodiac dates. Capricorn would now be January 20 to February 16, Aquarius would run till March 11, Pisces until April 18, Aries to May 13, Taurus moves out to June 21, then Gemini until July 20. Cancer stretches to August 10, Leo to September 16, Virgo until October 30, Libra to November 23, Scorpio ends 6 days later. Ophiuchus then runs from November 29 until December 17, Sagittarius rounding out the zodiac year.
Firefighters have been working around the clock to put out the blaze that's been burning on the ship since Sunday morning, dramatically impacting the air quality where you can visibly see the smoke and still smell it. More than 1,500 helicopter water drops have descended on this USS Bonhomme Richard, on fire for 4 days.
The Navy says it's a process to cool down the superstructure and flight deck in order to get more fire crews on board internally to fight the fire.
Challenges remaining, obviously, are getting that fire out completely.
The U.S. Navy provided these close-up and heart-wrenching photos showing the exhausting effects the blaze battle has on the fire crew fighting it on the front lines, at times below deck temperatures as high as 1,000 degrees. Still, firefighters worked well into the night to put out the fire.